Hi everyone, my name is Carlos Camacho. I'm a psychologist. I also write a few books and try a few other things. Life is too short, my friends. You have to give everything a go if you can. So that's what I'm doing at the moment. But my prime work is as a psychologist in Sydney's West, and I also work, of course, in Fairfield, a place I grew up in. I went to Fairfield Primary School. I went to Fairfield High School, albeit only the first year, year 7. We used to call it first form in the 70s. And then I went back to my native land, Uruguay in South America, where I again started year 7 and finalized year 10. Then I went to live in Argentina and came back in my late teens. I worked for a little while doing what you had to do. You know how it is when you come from a working class family. You have to do whatever it takes to succeed. So I had a few jobs, factories, anything you can imagine, until one day a wonderful coordinator in TAFE advised me I should finish my HSC. He was a Chilean man and a wonderful person. Unfortunately, he passed away a few years after that, but he gave me some great insight and motivated me to go and do my HSC. So I did at night whilst working in a factory, and that, I can tell you, my friends, was the hardest part of my studies. I later got into university and did my bachelor in psychology, also in anthropology and sociology, but I took a minor subject called creative writing, and that's where I really found, if you like, my calling, which was writing. So today we're going to talk about both of the things I love, which is writing and psychology. Being Mental Health Week, I think it's very important to be able to have practical techniques in order to overcome some of the symptoms we feel as humans in a modern society. Also, for a lot of us that are not living in our native country. I was born in Uruguay. I came when I was 3. Whilst I feel Australian, my parents are Uruguayan, and I have wonderful family and friends back in my country, but also in other countries in Latin America, and been fortunate enough to travel a lot of the countries in the world. I have friends everywhere. I suspect you have connections as well back at home, so it's important to maintain those. Today, it's not like it was in the 80s when we were traveling and doing a lot of backpacking. We had to almost send smoke signals, but today we have these wonderful apps to keep in touch with our family and friends, so please use them. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Mental Health Week, very important, because mental health is something that we can't take an x-ray of. We can't say, there it is, I'm going to cut it out and that's it, you'll be fine. No, it's an abstract term. What is mental issues? What are symptoms of depression and anxiety? That's very important to get down packed on, because in order to treat them, we have to know what we're dealing with. I'm very passionate about Mental Health Week, and when I can, I always try to provide some information in a humble way. All we have is our perspective. That's all it is. You may talk to 10 other psychologists and they may give you a different point of view. I like working in a practical manner, so let's start. With regards to depression, I find that it's a symptom of something else. There are 3 types of depression. One is clinical depression, or biological if you like, chemical, which means that there is an imbalance of the brain. Those type of people require medication and would be best served with a psychiatrist. Now, don't be alarmed. Psychiatrists today are very different than in the 50s or the 60s, 70s and so forth. It doesn't mean you have to be, let's say, crazy to see a psychiatrist. I know a lot of wonderful psychiatrists, they do therapy. They also look to see what the brain requires for that chemical balance and then prescribe accordingly. So it's very important that you get a referral to a psychiatrist, or if you know someone in your family or a friend that has that chemical imbalance, it's very easy to notice because there's not much wrong with that person. They're physically okay, they're not in pain, they're in a nice relationship, they're financially stable, they've got a job, they're doing what they like, but yet they find it hard to be happy. That person has a chemical imbalance. The brain can't seem to provide with the chemical required to allow that person to be happy. Now, that's only one aspect. That only allows us to be happy. It's not the end. We still have to do other things in order to reach a certain grade of happiness, which, as we know, is up and down. Doesn't matter how much money you have, how beautiful you are, how stable your relationships are, and how well your life is going. Happiness is only temporary. It's like grabbing water in your fist and it goes through your fingers. So let's enjoy every moment when it does come, because it's not here constantly. And that's the big mistake some of us make. We aim to be happy all the time. We have to be comfortable at the times where happiness isn't there, which is 90% of the time. If you can rate happiness between 1 and 10, 90% of the time we are a 5. When we go and get bread, when we take the bus, when we ring a friend, when we're traveling somewhere, when we're getting the kids ready for school, or we're getting ready for bed, whatever it may be, that is a 5. We get the 10, sure, great party, we travel, we meet wonderful people, we do something exhilarating, a 10, but it comes down immediately to a 5 as soon as that event is over. Also, we go down to 1, sometimes zeros, but they also come up to 5s. So 90% of the time, we're at 5, the daily life. Let's get comfortable with that. Let's recognize it and make sure that we are aware that this is a time to be happy, because we don't want to throw 90% of our life away. It's already too short, my friends. Chemical imbalance, psychiatrist, medication. The other type of depression is reactive depression, which we all have. Something happens in our lives and we react with a depression. Why? Because our brain feels that we need some time off. That's what happens. Depression is a symptom. Our brain is telling us, hang on, you're very stressed. This has happened. We need to resolve this issue. Let's take a step back. I'm going to depress you a bit. That's what the brain would say. Would bring down those chemicals that make us happy. Would force us to be on our own, to reflect, to sleep a bit more, to recover. And that is a natural state. And it usually lasts very little. It may go on. So if it does go on, that's when we need to see somebody. And that's a good time to talk to your GP and ask for a referral for a psychologist in your area. And by all means, chat to them over the phone for 5 minutes. Most psychologists will do that. Ask them what they do. Ask them about their experience. Ask them if they have dealt with symptoms like yours, and ask them if they bulk bill or how much they charge. Once you talk to 3 or 4, you'll know who to go with. Over the phone, we have, as humans, that ability to capture the essence of another person, and we don't need to be psychologists to work that out. When we meet someone, we know whether we like them or not immediately. That's part of our natural instinct. There's no medication required for that type of depression, but yes, keep an eye on it. And what I would say, what's very important, is to maintain a healthy lifestyle, which we'll go into as soon as I finish the third type of depression, which, my friends, of course, is a mixture of both. Now, there's chemical and there's environmental. Some of us do experience a mixture of both. If that's the case, because we are reacting to a situation, but also it's ongoing and we can't seem to get out of that state, it will become physiological, chemical. And therefore, it would be a good opportunity to talk to someone, to a psychologist, and ask them whether it's important or significant that they get referred to a psychiatrist. If it goes on for over 3 months, then I would talk to your GP, and also see a psychiatrist. Psychiatrists and psychologists work together to provide a holistic approach, if you like. The brain for the psychiatrist and the mind for the, sorry, did I say psychologist or psychiatrist? I meant psychiatrist. For the brain, we have to see a psychiatrist, which is the chemical aspect. For the mind, if you like, for our emotions, it's important that we see a psychologist or even a counselor. They're fine. They are very well trained, and some counselors have a lot of experience with dealing with these things. So again, what's important is that rapport, that relationship we can form with the professional. Now, there are other types of people that just have a little bit of depression, or what we would say are depressed, are sad. We all get that, my friends. We are all prone to that type of situation because life is a mixture of two things, suffering and happiness. Like Confucius would say, the old Chinese philosopher, the yin and the yang. Now, we have to be comfortable with both. We have to know that both will come. So if we are feeling a little bit down, let's make ourselves aware that that is part of life. That's number one. Not question why this is happening to us. Not create a victim mentality. What we need to do is set out a very good routine. For all types of depression, it's very important to set out a good routine. We get up in the morning, set yourself an alarm. You get up, you put your feet on the ground and you say to yourself, I'm getting up, I'm jumping in the shower. You force yourself because you may talk yourself out of it. It's very easy to do when you're tired in the morning, when it's cold or it's a little bit rainy or you're just not motivated enough. It's not a good time to trust your reason. Your reason for getting up in the morning to start the day well, you've decided the night before when you have your faculties intact. And you've got to go with that, my friends. Do not trust yourself when you're tired, when you're cold, and when you're unmotivated. Stick to the plan. You get up, you jump in the shower, you do a breathing exercise in there. Like at the end of it, you close the hot water and you leave the cold running and you put your face under it. Try to open your eyes in there. Try to wake up and breathe. 4 seconds in, 4 seconds out. It's very hard when you're underwater, so you leave your face in there and you just let the water run off you a little bit so you can breathe. You do that a couple of times, you turn the water off, you get out, you start your day. What you do next is very important. A journal. Get yourself a book that you can write in, a pen that you can use just for that. You start off your day, write the date, write the day of the week, and the first thing you do is a do list, to do. Do big capital letters, exclamation mark. Today, what do I have to do? Nothing too fancy. It might be ringing someone, might be paying that bill, might be going to pick up something that is required, making a phone call that you've delayed, and you write those things down, 6 things. Then you write a little reflection for that day. Just something, how you feel and what you want to get out of that day, about the state of the world maybe even. Then you close that book and you take it with you wherever you go. It's just a little exercise book and you go ticking off the things. As you come up with some other things you want to do, you write them in the book. At night time, before you go to bed, you write another little title, tomorrow. So you write down tomorrow what you want to do, what you want to achieve. You close the book, you go to bed, you turn the light off, you do the same breathing exercise like you did under the shower. 4 seconds in, breathing. 4 seconds out. And you do that for 4 minutes, lying nice in your bed. You turn around and you go to sleep. You do not watch TV. You don't get on your phone. You mute everything. You turn everything off. Bed equals sleep, my friends. If you can't sleep because you're thinking about something, get up. Nice and calmly. Say to yourself, Carlos, I can't sleep. That's fine. I'm going to get up and I'm going to write that in the journal for tomorrow, what I'm thinking about, because I want to get it out of my head. And that's exactly what you do. You get up for 5 minutes and you start again and you go to sleep. And you continue that process. You get up in the morning, again, same thing. Between Sunday night and Thursday night, same routine, my friends. Try to keep to the same routine. Routine is very important. It gives us a stability. Our brain, whether it's experiencing anxiety or depression, what's best for it is routine. Why? Because routine creates certainty. When we get depressed, and especially when we get anxious, which, as we know, anxiety is part of our nature. All mammals have anxiety, actually. It allows us to react to the world in a better way. It allows us to be more vigilant. Now, in a natural state, if we were still in a natural state, as in running around the jungle or the bush or whatever that may be, then anxiety would come very handy. Why? Because we wouldn't take things for granted, would be aware, would be vigilant, would be listening to the noises, and that would probably allow us to live longer, reproduce, and keep the species going. That's how it works. But in a civilized situation, as we are, we live in a civilization, anxiety has little value in that sense. It still has value if you're walking down the street, you go with your gut instinct, actually, I'm not going to go through that dark alley, or that person I met, I didn't really like, I'm not going to give them my telephone number. The anxiety allows us to be more vigilant, have insight. So go with your gut feeling. But anxiety can also prolong itself and make us more fearful and not take calculated risks that are going to allow us to succeed, whether that be in a relationship, asking someone out, going for an exam, deciding to study something, attending a job interview, going overseas and traveling, going to a party even. I know people that find it very difficult to relate to other people, so they refrain from those situations. Get yourself involved. That anxiety has no use to you. Now, the best way to overcome that is by a good routine. Sunday night to Thursday night, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Then Friday and Saturday, give yourself a bit more leeway. That's fine. Go out, have fun. Do not underestimate the power of fun. But the other days, have a nice, strict routine. Sure, be spontaneous, but make sure you keep a journal. That's going to help the brain know what's happening. It's going to decrease the anxiety and decrease the probability and the possibility of reactive depression arising. And so nothing's bulletproof, my friend, but what we can do, what we should be aiming for, is decreasing those negative symptoms. Talking about negativity, all negative emotion, whether that be depression, anxiety, sadness, anger, whatever it may be, all negative emotion arises from negative thought. Emotion cannot exist without thought. We know that scientifically. We've done studies. What does that tell us? If we change our thinking, if we think positively, we will have positive emotions. That is magical, my friends. That is control right there at your fingertips. So what does that mean? We need to recognize a negative thought. When we have that negative thought coming into our heads, we need to make sure that we say, hang on, Carlos, you're thinking negatively. What worth has that to me? Nothing. So I'm going to discard that thought and I'm going to say, no, I'm going to think positively. I'll give you an example before I leave here. I decide today to go for a swim to my beautiful beach, Soldiers Beach, up in the Central Coast. And I get ready to go and it starts raining. And I start thinking, wow, the universe hates me. I was just about to go to the beach and it starts raining. Of course, what happens? I start becoming the victim. I think that the clouds are waiting for me to walk outside. And you know what? As ridiculous as it sounds, we start believing stuff like that if we keep thinking about it. So what I have to say is, Carlos, it's fine. It's raining. You know what? I'm still going to go to the beach, or I'll wait. I'll wait till tomorrow. I might decide that I'll do something else. I'll replace that thought. Actually, I'm going to get back to my book, my fourth book, writing, that I haven't touched for a few months now due to all my work in COVID-19 and all the situation that we're all living in. So that's what I would try to do. So that's how we replace negative thought with positive thought. Do not allow yourself to go into that circuit of thinking, especially the why me thing, nip it in the butt, as we say. Say to yourself, that's negative thought, Carlos. That's no good. Nice and calm, you replace it with a positive thought. Replace it with something that is in your control. That's what positive thought is. Doesn't necessarily need to be a wonderful thing. Positive thought means in my control. I decide what's going to happen and how I'm going to feel. That, my friends, is a lot of psychology in 20 minutes. So I'm not going to continue because I want you to be able to at least capture the basics of what we talked about today. Remember, 3 types of depression. There is chemical depression. You need a psychiatrist. That person requires medication. Reactive depression, that's from an event. And that's fine. We don't need medication. We might not even need to talk to a professional straight up. But if it continues at least more than 3 months, yes, talk to your GP, get a referral for a psychologist, a counsellor, and maybe a psychiatrist if required. Then there's the combination of both. It's good to talk to someone, I think, straight away for that one, because there's a chemical imbalance, but also there's a reactive nature, there's environmental issue, which could be resolved talking to a professional. But, my friends, remember, do not stop talking to your friends. Do not stop talking to your family. They're the first point of call. Psychologists arose due to the fast pace of society, the fact that we don't talk to each other much, that the family environment has decreased with regards to communication. And so we are, in a way, in a position where we seek a professional, and it's always wonderful because you get an objective view. But your friends, your family, they might not have the training, but they have unconditional love for you. And it's great to have someone listen to you that is in that situation. They may not give you the right advice, but they have good intentions. And listen to most people, put things on a balance, and then decide for yourself what is best for you. My friends from Fairfield, my little hometown of Fairfield, which I still love. My parents still live there. My sister lives there. My brother lives there. I don't live there anymore because I'm addicted to going to the beach now, and I love it. And it gives me a lot of time to think. I've got a lovely relationship with the ocean, and it's allowed me to be able to enjoy and be more creative in life. But I still go to Fairfield every week. I have lots of friends there, and I know a lot of people. Anything you need, my friends, you can contact me through this medium, and I would strongly recommend, if you are in a situation where you require something, talk to a friend, talk to a family member, go and see your doctor, tell them what's happening. He or her will refer you to a psychologist, and make sure you talk to a few to have a good idea of what they do. Okay, my friends, Mental Health Week, keep vigilant. Make sure if someone needs you at a certain point of their life, you're there. All you have to do is listen. You don't need to give advice. That is tremendous if you can do that. I wish you all the best, my friends. Take care of each other, and remember, existence is a miracle. Carlos Camacho, psychologist, bidding farewell for now. Bye-bye.